Week 3 of the NFL Today is coming to you now.
And there's Joe Burrow. He's in Philly today to face the Eagles. His 97 pass attempts in his first 2 games are a rookie record. Pick a guy and let it fly, kid.
Kirk Cousins, 0 TDs, 3 interceptions last week. He needs to be turnover-free if he wants to win versus the Titans today.
Cam Newton's first 2 weeks, 4 rushing touchdowns, 70% completion percentage, but he'll be without starting center David Andrews today.
Well, there are the Watt brothers having a little fun on the field. Can you imagine their mother saying, "Boy, stop that. You're breaking all the furniture."
Phil had a rough childhood, folks. Hello, folks. I'm James Brown, and welcome to the NFL Today, presented by Ram Trucks. And interesting, Week 2 is in the books. Folks, we are ready for more action in Week 3. 2 teams with opposite starts to the season face off in Pittsburgh as Big Ben and the undefeated Steelers host Deshaun Watson and the Texans. And speaking of bumpy starts, Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins have both struggled out of the gate, but today they'll look to get back on track in the early games right here on CBS. John Gruden returns to the scene of the infamous Tuck Rule. By the way, Phil called that game, as he and the resurgent Raiders look to stay undefeated as they take on Bill Belichick and the Patriots at Gillette Stadium.
We begin a new chapter in our storied history. We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Touchdown, Las Vegas. The Raiders put one in the books for Las Vegas.
New stadium. It's our time.
Whoa, what a play by the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders are victorious in Las Vegas. Welcome to your new home.
Las Vegas at New England.
It does bring back memories, and some of the memories aren't great. We're excited to play the Patriots. Hopefully we can continue to keep it going.
Let's go.
Just win, baby.
Inside Studio 43, I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Phil Simms, who will get back at me later, Coach Bill Cowher, Nate Burleson, and Boomer Esiah's son. Hey, folks, we have a great battle of the minds today as Bill Belichick and the Patriots look to halt the momentum of John Gruden's Raiders. Now, we welcome in Tony Romo, who's on the call today in Foxborough. Tony, the Raiders, one of 11 teams, I'll get this right, Bill, who have started the season 2-0. Are you a believer in the Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, I am. I'm telling you, they're very efficient on the offensive side of the ball. They run the football. They get in a lot of third and manageables. And then John Gruden, he's really taught Derek Carr this system, so they get to really easy plays and move the chains. Now, defensively, I still got to see a little bit more. They're young. They used a lot of resources in the offseason, really over the last few years, to really build a younger version. They just need to learn football and play, but this team's coming on.
Hey, Tony, a superb performance from Cam Newton in last week's loss, as a matter of fact. Is this what we should expect from the former MVP going forward?
Yes, you should. I think you're seeing the development of somebody who's played football for a long time, who's getting great teaching, and they're using his skill set. But he's also evolving in other areas, I really believe, which quarterbacks at this age usually do because they've seen a lot. And it's a perfect mix right now, and they're going to be a very tough team, very formidable opponent every week for any team that challenges them.
All right, Tony, thanks for your insight. The best to you, Jim, and Tracy on the call today.
You know, sometimes you get a loss and you walk out of that game and you feel better about your team. And if I'm Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniel, that's the way I feel going to Seattle, because you know what you saw right there is one of the biggest questions I had. 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. You're down 12 points. You go into the no huddle. Can Cam Newton run this no huddle? We know he can run with the football, but what I saw last week at the end of that game, him going up and down, his decision making, his chemistry, he is very comfortable, Phil, in this offense.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Bill. You know, everybody out there thinks, oh, the New England Patriots created this new offense for Cam Newton. No, they didn't. They put in a few runs, quarterback runs, which he's been great at. But all the drop back passes, the screens, the play action that we saw from Tom Brady, they're still running. It just looks different because Cam Newton is a much more aggressive decision maker. He's looking to fire the football down the field. He's very comfortable in the pocket with people around him. And once he gets outside the pocket, Nate, he is awesome throwing the football on the run.
You're right about that. The former MVP could soon be two-time MVP. Before you called me crazy, check this out. More completions than Lamar Jackson. All right, last year's MVP. Your previous MVP has more yards passing than Pat Mahomes. He has more rush yards than Joe Mixon, one of the best backs in the business. All right, and what about this? More rushing touchdowns than King Henry. They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And the numbers prove that Cam Newton is playing the best football he has ever played.
Hey, you are smooth, I'm telling you. He's nuts, and you're smooth. Here's the thing, for John Gruden, on the other side, you heard Tony Romo talk about it, and Derek Carr, he's got Josh Jacobs in the backfield. He's touched the ball 59 times the last 2 games, and they also have Darren Waller. He's a great story, and you will see him a little bit later in our show, and how Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller have become the 1-2 punch for this offense. The one thing I will say about Derek Carr, and I think Brian Griese brought it out on Monday Night Football, as you see Mark Davis there, the owner of the Raiders, throw the ball down the field. Let's take some chances down the field, and hopefully they'll get some more chances down the field because of the way that the Patriots will play them on defense today.
So you want perfection. I mean, he's great, and he's doing really well. We got to be perfect.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're always striving called perfection.
Evolution, Phil. Yes. Evolution.
And you're happy after a loss. That was great. Yeah.
You did not include Atoya in that generalization, did you, about women?
Oh, no, not my wife. She's perfect.
Absolutely.
She's perfect.
For more news from around the league, let's welcome in our NFL Today insider, Jason Lockenfora. A bizarre incident left Chargers quarterback Tyrod Taylor sidelined, Jason, with what we know now is a punctured lung. What's the latest?
JB, the Chargers are adamant, privately and publicly, that Taylor will be their starter when he's back. I'm inclined to believe him. The NFLPA is investigating Taylor's claim that a team doctor punctured his lung when giving him a pain-relieving shot last week. Under the CBA, the union can seek damages if a player suffers financial or physical harm from a medical mistake. In this instance, they think a change in status from starter to backup would certainly apply, especially with Taylor, a pending free agent. The Chargers, for now, say Taylor's week to week. The league and union face critical negotiations this week, trying to determine COVID protocols for bye weeks. The byes start in week 5, and both sides, sources tell me, believe maintaining daily testing and daily tracing is imperative to keep these numbers down. There's also deep fears about allowing players and staff to travel as they normally would during a bye week. Thus far, through 3 weeks, just one player, A.J. Terrell of the Falcons, has landed on the COVID list, a remarkable accomplishment. And we told you last week, the league is not playing around about coaches wearing face masks on the sidelines. Almost $2 million in fines handed out. Sources tell me repeat offenders now could face suspension or loss of draft pick. The Raiders, they were fined last week. They're also under investigation for possible COVID locker room violations. And history today will be made in Cleveland. These 3 women all figure prominently in this game. Boom, a great day for diversity in the NFL.
Yeah, great report, Jason. $2 million in fines, guys. How about Carson Wentz? Today has to be a get-right day for this quarterback. Why? Because the Cincinnati Bengals only have 2 sacks thus far this season.
Coming up on the NFL Today, it's a Watt family reunion in Pittsburgh as JJ and the Texans are in town to take on TJ, Derek, and the Steelers. The Raiders' Darren Waller is off to a hot start, and the talented tight end has the Las Vegas offense feeling very lucky.
Going to throw, rolls right, wide open, touchdown Waller. Beautiful play.
The NFL is filled with talented young quarterbacks, but who do the guys think is the #1 signal caller in the league right now? All that and more when the NFL Today continues on CBS, home of Super Bowl 55. The NFL Today on CBS Sports is presented by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
We'd been listening for 10 days how badly we were going to get whipped. I said, wait a minute, man, I got news for you. We're going to win the game. I guarantee you. I didn't realize Coach Eubank would be upset. Weeb's exact words were, gosh darn it, you've given them fuel for the fire. They're going to put these clippings up on the bulletin board. And my response was, if they need to look at clippings to get fired up, they are in trouble.
The clock is run out, and the Jets are champions of the football world.
I never raised my hand like that before. We did it. We were finally #1.
So much swagger from Broadway Joe, and the Jets try to revive that feeling today against the Colts. That's
okay.
Who's first? Eastern. And will we see swagger like Joe in Tampa on February 7th, Super Bowl 55, right here on CBS? Now, speaking of swagger, Coach, this Steelers defense, now, they might not be the steel curtain, but they putting a real hurting on folks. First in pressures, blitz percentage, and second in sacks with 10. What makes these guys so good?
They have led this in sacks the last 3 years in the NFL. Why? It's personnel. You got to have Dupree, Watt coming off the corner, Cam Hayward to it inside. But you can see the pressure. You get out of the pocket, they got speed. And when they get out there and they can chase you down, they're looking to get rid of that ball. You see a punch out right here. We'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing they do is scheme. Mike Hilton, he is a nickel corner. He's got 8.5 sacks in this scheme. He comes off the corner, so they come after either a 4-man rush, a 5-man rush. They give you a lot to prepare for.
You mentioned the punch out, Coach. TJ Watt, most forced fumbles in the NFL since 2017 with 15. This is no easy thing to do. How is he getting this done?
I talked to TJ Watt this week, and he talked about Tim Tissabar, who was his linebacker coach in Wisconsin. Okay. He was with Peanut Tillman in Chicago, coaching that staff. Right there, Peanut Tillman started this back in 2013-14, and J.J. Watt, the same thing. It's a punch down to the ball. It's where you come from as you're going. If you see space, you punch it down. And you can see right there, he is known for that. He talks to his teammates about it. They're looking for space. They're looking for angles. And you're talking about what's the next step with that, Nate. So I sit here, and if I'm coming, you're from this side, you punch it down. Boom. But then I go overcompensate. I get it in here. What do you do?
Now I'm ripping at it like I'm starting a lawnmower.
And you know what I do after that?
What are you doing?
I put both hands in the ball, and as you would say, I'm running the molasses. I can't run it. So you're more conscientious about the people around you. And I'll tell you what, they put a lot of fear into opposing offenses.
Oh, and they're going to apply pressure to Deshaun Watson, who's trying to find his rhythm. A couple other quarterbacks that have struggled to find their rhythm this season, Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins.
You never want to start 0-2. It starts with me, and I'll own that. I got to be better.
Today was not a sharp day. We've got to be better. I've got to be better.
Here comes the run. Down goes Wentz. Sacked again. How many sacks is that?
Cousins, play action. Oh, it's a safety. It's a safety. Who in the heck takes safeties 2 consecutive weeks?
Wentz drops back.
Intercepted.
It's intercepted.
Wentz didn't know what to do with the football.
With a deep shot. Terrible pass intercepted. It deserved to be.
Not the way you want us to start the season.
An uninspiring performance.
So 2 quarterbacks, unfortunately, in very similar situations, both Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins off to slow starts for teams that expected to contend. Wentz looking to correct course, and he'll have a chance today against the #1 pick, the overall pick, Joe Burrow, and the Cincinnati Bengals. 5 turnovers through the first 2 weeks. What does Wentz have to do to turn it around?
Well, you know, a couple things. First off, I'm going to say this. Carson Wentz's job is not on the line today. People are saying, oh, could they bench him? No. But what he does is you look at these numbers here, the 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His problem is he plays every play like it's the last play of the game. And I got a great example of that. Week 1, they're playing the Washington football team. They're up 17-0 inside of 2 minutes. He doesn't set his feet. He lobs it out there. Fabian Moreau makes the interception. Washington's done nothing on offense. What do you think they do after that interception? They go down and score, make it 17-7. So, you know, Carson Wentz, part about being a quarterback, Boomer, is many things. But one, you got to manage the game.
Well, and you can't be throwing interceptions, especially when you're throwing your interceptions on first down, which means that Doug Peterson, the play caller, trusts his quarterback to not make decisions like this on first down. And look at this right here. He doesn't see the safety. He's got 2 guys coming together on for the Rams, and that's just a killer interceptions. And interceptions like that change momentum during the game. So for me, Carson Wentz is a great player. He's not running as much as he did the last couple of years. I think he should run a little bit more. He's got to be more careful, but he can't force the issues on first down like he has been doing.
I know both of you have complimented Kirk Cousins, so you won't hear him complain about a thing, but he is in a very similar boat. His Vikings want to avoid an 0-3 start as they host the undefeated Titans. What gives there?
Well, I'll tell you what gives here. It goes back to last week. The last 2 games of the regular season last week, the first 2 games of this year, under 250 total yards of offense, and that comes from the quarterback. Now, I will say I watched this film twice over. He is getting hit. Just so much more than every other quarterback. But he also has to bring the energy. And I think that's what's missing more than anything in the Viking locker room right now is the energy.
Hey, look, their offensive line, Kirk Cousins got killed last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Their offensive line the word to say for it, it was terrible, okay? The other thing they got going for him, he's missing Stephon Diggs. They need another weapon down the field. And the third thing is their defense is giving up 35 points a game. So don't sit there and just tell me, oh, Kirk Cousins got to play better. The whole team does.
And he will not point a finger of blame. All right, folks, we at the NFL Today would like to take the time to honor a football legend who passed earlier this week after his battle with dementia. 18 inches of daylight is all it took for the Kansas Comet, otherwise known as Gale Sayers, to become one of the most electric players in NFL history after being drafted by the Bears in 1965. Despite Boomer only playing 7 years, Sayers finished his career with 5 first-team All-Pro selections, leading him, Phil, to become the youngest inductee into the Pro Football Hall of Fame at age 34. Now, through his career, it was cut short due to injury. He's remembered as one of the greatest players in history, and his legacy is just as dynamic as he was. Scenes from around the league today as players continue to use their platforms to highlight issues pertaining to social reform. Of course, the NFL's season-long theme, It Takes All of Us, is a message aimed at recognizing all of the unifying social movements going on in our country today. And the Patriot Way has been the standard of excellence for on-field success since Robert Kraft purchased the team back in 1994. But more recently, the Patriot Way has included an open dialogue between Mr. Kraft and his locker room that is the shining example of what ownership can be. A partnership between players and owners taking action in the fight for justice.
Yes, you're going to sit right there in the stool.
Hi, James.
Can Robert Kraft hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. And I know you've mentioned everybody else calls you RKK. Just bear with me through the interview. You're Mr. Kraft until we get off air.
Whatever makes you comfortable.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's talk about what's present. And Cam Newton, many people scratched their head and thought, is that a fit, Cam Newton and the Patriots?
Well, I tell you, I can't understand how he was on the market for 86 days. Sometimes when you meet people who are #1 picks in the league, they're not always team first kind of guys. And he really is. And our whole locker room feels it.
Let us explore the locker room dynamic and the significant role that you play as an owner. Your players seem very comfortable coming to talk with you. When you talk with them to get a handle on what we're dealing with in the country, what did you come away with?
Well, you know, I thought I understood a little bit about discrimination because of the religion I was born into, but it wasn't until the George Floyd incident. Having our players telling us that their parents had to tell them how they dress if they go to an ATM machine, how they act if they're stopped by the police. It just completely changed me. And, you know, it made me understand that I have to also be a better listener. But what I would really like to ask you, tell me what it was like growing up as a person of color and experiencing things that I maybe couldn't have understood.
Mr. Kraft, I know that in elementary school, I wanted to be a doctor. And I had a teacher who happened to be Caucasian. And I was at my desk reading a book that was entitled, So You Want to Be a Doctor. She said to me, kids like you don't do well in math and science. You ought to lower your expectations. Rejection is a very strong weapon, and people tie their self-worth to that. So I work diligently to make people understand God did not make any trash, no rejects. Does that make sense, Mr. Kraft?
A lot of sense, and it's helpful to me.
Share with us just one thing that you feel has changed you to show that you're involved and engaged in changing the dynamic.
I had developed a friendship with Meek Mill.
Musician Meek Mill's voice is a familiar sound in the hip-hop world, but now he wants to use it to change the criminal justice system.
Here's a young man who's very productive to society, hiring people, generating millions of dollars, paying taxes, but he had been on probation, and he did a wheelie And because of that wheelie, they put him in jail. And I come see him, and I thought he'd have an edge. And he was accepting of it. He says, look, I expected it. I expected since I'm a young man.
He expected that.
Yeah. And as a result of this, Michael Rubin, Meek, myself, and Jay-Z helped found this Reform Alliance where we're trying to change the probation and the way young people go to jail at a certain age. They used to be able to be put in jail at the age of 7. And we wrote an editorial really through our African-American players' influence. And they changed the law here and upped it. Now, they upped it to 12 years, but it was at 7 years.
That's criminal. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, there are things like that going on that we have to correct.
This problem of systemic racism has been going on for 400 plus years, so we should not be lulled to think that there isn't going to be something else that would precipitate protests like the recent decision in the Breonna Taylor case in Louisville. What would you advocate to be the mindset, what we need to keep in mind as we move forward towards solutions?
Well, we can't be patient with certain things. We got to correct it. But there's a break even too, where if we cross the line in our passion to do good, it can also then become dysfunctional. And I would just ask that we push the envelope and do good and make change, but don't give fodder to the haters out there.
Mr. Kraft, thank you so much for being so open with us. This has been very meaningful.
Same for me. Thank you for being you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day. All righty. You know, as a proud, successful Jewish American, Mr. Kraft indicated he knows all about discrimination. As a matter of fact, last year, he was given Israel's version of the Nobel Peace Prize called the Genesis Prize. He took the $1 million that comes with the recognition to start an organization combating hate in all forms. And now, are you made for football watching? Well, with kickoff just about a half hour away, time now to set the scene at your game as we take you out first on the field, presented by Pepsi for the latest news and updates on your matchup. And there's a rookie, Justin Herbert, preparing to build off his strong debut today, going against Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers. And can the Jets notch their first W of the season? They take on the Colts in Indy. Both of those games, 4 Eastern, right here on CBS.
Well, here's Justin Herbert. You know, we want to talk about him playing for the Los Angeles Chargers. Last week, he came into the game. What did you see? You saw a guy, he looked so big, he can really run, and he made special throws down the field. Man, wide receivers love it when they're almost covered and a guy throws with power down the field, and they made those plays last week.
And the favorite receiver for a young quarterback, Hunter Henry. Look for the tight end to be a big part of it. For the Carolina Panthers, they will not have Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, how about those Jets, though? Listen, instead of me telling you about the silver lining of Mekhi Becton looking good at left tackle or Marcus May playing well, how about this? Let's get rid of my notes. Jets, you want to quiet the criticism? Go out there and beat the Colts. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, good luck doing that. But I will say for the Colts, here's the thing that would alarm me. The last 18 games, Phillip Rivers has thrown 10 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Those are killers. He did it against Jacksonville in week 1. Last week, they went back to Jonathan Taylor, a lot more running the ball behind that big offensive line. I would think that would be the case for a win today for Indianapolis and Phillip Rivers.
You know, Indianapolis, what's really caught me by surprise is their defensive front. DeForest Buckner coming in there along with the other defensive linemen. But the other thing is great speed at linebacker. Their front seven's really good.
Justin Herbert's got a full week of work. He did not have that a week ago. Look for Austin Eckler to be a part of the running game, because I'll tell you what, that's the best way to introduce a young quarterback into the NFL.
Surprised the Jets didn't call you to play wide receiver today.
I don't have too many routes left in these legs there. Boom. There's Joe Burrow, though. They got this young man tossing the ball around. Let's see if he can come up big and get his first W.
You got some ice cream in that belly, though.
There's a familiar sight, Jason Witten warming up. As a matter of fact, using more modern technology, our Tony Romo caught up with his old teammate to discuss the similarities between his old and new squads.
I tell you, I don't know too many guys who have been a part of 2 brand new stadiums in their career, 2 pretty good ones. So that's pretty special, making it all the way deep.
Well, I appreciate it. I got some great memories of us celebrating in that AT&T Stadium in those days. A lot of great wins, a lot of great battles, and it brought back a lot of great memories for me. Not the wins and all that comes with that, but just the experience, the journey that you get to do it with so many young, talented players. And this is no different, with this Raiders team. So it's a big win for us, and hopefully we can build on it.
The Raiders' Darren Waller, boy, is he balling, emerging as one of the best tight ends in the league. His career was derailed by drug addiction. Waller served a year-long suspension back in 2017, and following a stint in rehab, his road to redemption has us cheering him on, and certainly he is a lesson in resiliency.
One of the top receiving tight ends in the NFL.
He is a nightmare. Waller with the touchdown.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Darren Waller in 2015 was insecure, didn't really put in the work ethic. I was really going through the motions and didn't really like football at the time. NFL sent me to rehab, but then once I got back home, it was pretty much on me to continue to build on what had been built. 6 months into my year-long suspension, just started training again, enjoying the game again, and just competing. And I feel like I was able to build off that from there. Right after the Thanksgiving weekend, the Raiders signed me. I just felt like all I had to do was work the way I had been working, and that I would make something out of it. I really love Vegas. It's a great place for me to set up shop and bring a positive light to the Darren Waller Foundation. I was just aiming to educate young people in this area on substance abuse. And I feel like me sharing my story and sharing where I may have fallen short, a lot of kids could navigate some of the things that I fell into. No matter how many times you may slip up or fall short, you're just human, but you still have plenty to offer to the world. And all you gotta do is believe in yourself. I love Coach Gruden. We joke a lot and laugh a lot. I believe in Coach Gruden because he believed in me when I was nervous about, just trying to keep a job. But he was talking to me about being great. So I just appreciate all the positivity that he's poured into me.
Whew. Back-to-back throws from Carr to Waller. Darren Waller. It's where Derek Carr wants to throw the football.
My dog.
He was really encouraging me. You don't want to let people down that are there for you and that really want to see you succeed like that. So that just turned into us, doing the extra work and doing everything that was necessary to be consistent. We just locked in on the Patriots. It's a big challenge defensively. Year in and year out, they're at the top. It's a short week, so we've had to ramp up the preparation and locked in on going 1-0 every week. It's just controlling our future by doing what we need to do right now.
Guys, he is totally aware of his situation. Phil, you had Mark Bavaro. I had the great Rodney Holman. Nothing better than a 6'6", 250-pound stud athlete. And take a look at the amount of targets that he's already seen through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. He is really on pace to have a huge year. And I know that Derek Carr loves having him. And what is Belichick going to do?
And I know Bill Belichick sees that big body. He sees that matchup nightmare, and he's going to be hitting them at the line of scrimmage. You talk about trying to disrupt a rhythmic passing game. What do? You hit receivers multiple times. You give them multiple looks. I think Darren Waller may not have a great day today.
Like you mean like chuck him?
All right, take it easy, Phil.
Jeez.
Hey, guys, you ready for a pop quiz? And
yes.
Phil, you're going to love this segment. Here's a new segment. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Well, here we go. All right, here we go once again. Be quiet, my turn. Here we go.
Here we go again.
Okay. Yeah. Do you realize how much you say that?
Hey, no, I did not know I used to say that. I'll try not to say it anymore, but...
Okay, Phil, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah,
all right, let's get to it. Okay, guys, so 3 wildcard teams per conference make the playoffs this year. The question, will all 4 NFC West teams make the playoffs? Here we go.
Well, here we go. I can't get over Coach talking about how, he's so happy after a loss. That's one thing earlier in the show. But, yes, I think all 4 NFC West teams could get in the playoffs. It'll be tough, but I think it's very possible.
Be quiet. Here we go. No way. San Francisco, sometimes you have one of those years where the injury bug just takes you. And I'm just sensing that right now with San Francisco. A lot of injuries right there. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Here we go. I say no.
Okay.
There's no way that's happening. I think Tampa Bay is going to get in from the South, and it'll be 2 teams from the South.
All right,
okay,
here's a tough question.
Had enough of it. Let it
All right,
go. Let it go.
Who's the best quarterback in the league?
The best quarterback in the league. Here we go. I tell you what, I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes. It's easy right now.
It's easy?
Close. No, let me finish, okay? Don't interrupt. Just because you're asking the questions, I'll take Patrick Mahomes.
Wow. Oh, boy. Here we go. I'm going to say this. I think it is Russell Wilson.
Okay.
When you look at everything that he's done and what he's done over a period of time, his ability to run, extend plays, and what he asked him to do in the fourth quarter, right now, I would say Russell Wilson.
You know what? Lamar Jackson was a unanimous MVP last year, guys. What's wrong with you guys?
The answer is
I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody does it better, and he is the guy that is ready to put up 30 points every week.
Okay, I'll also throw in Cam Newton. Just keep in mind, he's balling out. And speaking of Cam Newton, 2020 comeback player of the league.
I like Cam Newton so far. It's only 2 games.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to get even the rest of the day somehow. But yeah, I like Cam Newton. Just one, how good he looks, how he's fit into the offense, his running's back, and his arm is terrific.
Here we go. I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger.
Holy Christ.
How about Ben Roethlisberger? 2-0. The Pittsburgh Steelers got a great defense, and plus he's got 4 wide receivers under the age of 24 or younger.
Okay, here we go. How about this one? Alvin Smith. Alvin Smith's been out of football for 5 years, said he was homeless a year ago. He leads them in defensive snaps. Could you guys come back after 5 years out as quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not very effectively. He was effective.
Last question. Let me get into my Phil Simms mode real quick. All right, so which 0-2 team has the best chance of making the playoffs? Jets, Bengals, Texans, Broncos, Giants, Eagles, Lions, Vikings, Falcons, or Panthers?
I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles because they got the size. They got Carson Wentz, and they're a tough team. They've been there before, battle-tested. I'll take them.
Here we go. I'll take Atlanta Falcons. I think Matt Ryan is a quarterback. They lost a tough one last week. They were very hot at the end of last year. I'm going to say Atlanta Falcons.
Here we go. Bill O'Brien and the Texans. Why? Just like Phil, asking myself a question. You know why? Because they've done it before.
Yeah.
They've been 0-2 twice, and they both made the playoffs that year.
But when you ask yourself questions, you usually don't know the answer.
Okay. Here we go.
Quiet. I'm mad at all of you.
There it goes.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You did not say that you liked the loss. You said sometimes.
Sometimes early in the season, a
exactly
loss is not always a bad thing.
And we did mention that he had a rough childhood, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. All right. Talk to us, Drew. Phil is steaming. Hey, Nate, let's do that again.
All right.
Oh, God. We got to
Here we go.
We got to
Big
put it
Ben.
in sense.
It's a quarterback.
Guys, Big Ben has lost a little weight, gained a little confidence, playing better than ever.
Much unlike Phil.
The NFL Today is sponsored by DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Recently, the Titans partnered with Academy Sports and Outdoors to surprise teacher Tracy Bates with a home gating makeover that in honor of her late husband, Bob, who was a Titans fan and founding season ticket member. The Titans and Academy remodeled her backyard with a new grill, fire pit, games, and more.
Hey, guys, there's J.J. Watt, the three-time Defensive Player of the Year. Already has 2 sacks this year. And I'm sure that he and Derek Watt are going to have a few collisions during this game.
There's T.J. Watt leading that formidable Pittsburgh defense. He is the king of that thing. He leads the league since he's been in the season, since he entered the season with forced fumbles.
Well, there's Derek Watt, the fullback of the Houston Texans. He probably got pushed around by J.J. early in life. I think he wants to get a free shot on him today.
What do you guys have in common?
Effort, a relentless attitude.
Look out from behind. Here comes J.J. Watt.
Safety in the end zone, Derek Watt. What a play by T.J. Watt.
J.J., I would say, is driven.
How great do you want to be?
Derek is our meticulous one.
T.J. is funny. He's funny, comical.
What's the most expensive thing that you guys broke growing up that maybe got you in trouble?
I broke your face one time.
That's expensive.
Let's go to
Justin James in Houston. Justin, do we have you?
do you guys always do your press conferences together? Thanks, I'll hang up and listen.
This is the first. Side by side, always, Jage.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Go practice. Yeah, go to a meeting.
All of us on the field at the same time in the same game. It really doesn't get any better than that.
As parents, it's a dream come true for us, and I know that they've always thought about it.
It's going to be very, very cool.
David.
Well, I know what it's like to be the younger brother. I got 3 older brothers, 8 in the family. My older brothers were mean to me, not like you guys were here today. Get me there. That was one thing. But it'll be what a feat for 3 brothers to be on the football field at the same time.
And I, like T.J. Watt, was the middle of 3 boys, and so he was a comedian. But I'm going to tell you something right now. T.J. Watt's out to say, you know what, J.J., you aren't the best defensive player on this field today.
Hey, fellas, a big quarterback battle, of course, expected today as Deshaun Watson and the Texans get ready to face Ben Roethlisberger and his Steelers.
Yeah, you're right about that. Listen, Deshaun Watson has struggled a little bit this season to find that rhythm without DeAndre Hopkins, who's in Arizona, of course. He knows the Steelers are going to blitz over half the time. I don't want him to think that that pressure turns him into a panicky quarterback, because often he'll get in that pocket and abandon his progression. Try to go through your reads, get the ball out of your hands. The more you run, that doesn't always mean the more your offense is successful.
You know, here's the good news for Ben Roethlisberger. He gets David DeCastro back as right guard. Pittsburgh didn't have anybody on the injured list going into this week. And by the way, Ben has played really well the first 2 weeks of the season. As I said earlier, he has 4 receivers that are 24 years old or younger. That would make an old man feel pretty young, if you ask me.
That's right.
You know, one thing I'll say about this, when you look at Deshaun Watson, he's already got 8 sacks, and we know he's been sack happy. Now you're going up against a Pittsburgh team. I'm telling you right now, he's got to get the ball out quickly and make good decisions.
All right, folks, as we continue to move along, the NFL Today picks are presented by Allstate. And the question is, who will protect home field today? Upset specials for week 3.
Upset special, the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. They're going to go against the 49ers, who were at MetLife Stadium last week. And it turned out well for the win, but not for their team. They're injury-riddled right now, coming in here for the New York Giants. Today is the day they get their first win for Joe Judge.
Yeah, look over here. It's my turn. You know, listen, but I like the Los Angeles Rams over the Buffalo Bills. The Rams offense and defense, they're much more physical this year. They're running the ball well, and I think they're a great matchup. I'm taking the Rams.
I don't like when I made my pick this morning, there was a collective laugh in the production meeting at 8 a.m., but I am going with the Lions over the Cardinals. And you might say I'm crazy. I do feel like Matt Stafford in this offense. Am I crazy?
You're crazy. You are crazy.
The Lions are going to win. That's who I got.
You used to be smooth, but now you are crazy. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers over the Saints. And I think that Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones, man, putting up over 1,000 yards the first 2 weeks of the season, 85 points. They cannot be stopped. And we all know about the story of Drew Brees and the offense of the Saints. They have been struggling with the loss of Michael Thomas.
And I'll just say one last thing. 0-3 is not a recipe for making the playoffs. Only 7 teams have done it since 1980. I know there's one more, but I'll tell you, big game for 0-2 teams.
Let me say this. I don't mind you guys making fun of me, but you joined in.
With kickoff just a few minutes away,
we'll get you out to your game next.
The NFL Today on CBS Sports is presented by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers looking to end their losing streak when they face off against the Chargers. And Adam Gase hoping that his team can avoid a 3-game hole as Sam Darnold and the Jets travel to Indy to take on the Colts. Those games 4 Eastern right here on CBS. Time now for a game day delivery presented by Amazon. No Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers, but we do get a chance to see more from Chargers rookie Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think we look at Justin Herbert. You know, he had a full week of work this week. Obviously, he did not last week because you sat there. Tyrod Taylor kind of went out right before the game. But you see him right here. He didn't have to think about things. He can make all the throws. I think with a full week of work, they're going to do the things he does well. He gets out of the pocket. He's mobile. Look for Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler to be a big part of that offense.
Yeah, they can run at the offensive line, playing better. That's for sure. You know, Justin Herbert, you know he reminds me of? All the talk coming out in the draft. It's like Josh Allen. Oh, he's up in Oregon. They don't throw it enough. All these dumb numbers they were putting out. Nate, you believe in numbers? I don't. But it was just, we saw it on display. He might not play well today. It doesn't matter. The talent, the size, what he can do with the football. And I'll say it one more time. He's a wide receiver's friend.
Yeah.
All you need is a little window. And what do you want the quarterback to do? Get it to you as quick as possible.
Put it on me.
And he can do that.
Yep, put it on me so I can make a play. You know what else? when you have a change like that, whether it's because of what Tyrod Taylor's going through or it's a decision made by the coach, it brings a different type of juice. Yeah. Even as a fan, watching these guys, as a wide receiver, I'm thinking to myself, this Chargers offense all of a sudden has a little pop to it, and he brings that young talent, big arm that throws with a lot of velocity.
Look, he's a bright young star. There's no question about it. You know, the Jets have who they thought was a bright young star in Sam Darnold. Look who he's lining up with today at wide receiver against the Colts. This is not going to be an easy game for him or Adam Gase. They are looking at 0-3, and I'm telling you, just from being here locally, just listening to the fan base already tired of Adam Gase. They want to get him. They want to get rid of him. Sam Darnold has been accurate. He's not throwing the ball down the field. But the one thing I will say, and Nate, you brought this up last week, Mekhi Becton, their left tackle, has been the real deal thus far. He may be the energy on that offense, believe it or not.
You know, Boomer, I'm glad I'm not a quarterback nowadays. Well, maybe I don't know about that. The money would be
They make $40 million a year.
Some of the scores easier. Yeah, I'm sorry. But you know what I'm just saying? The scrutiny is just overwhelming. You know, you got to judge quarterbacks in the circumstances they're in. And Sam Darnold is in a terrible set of circumstances. The receiving core, the offensive line, you know, the way they're going to beat the Colts today, if they do, they're going to have to block it up, keep guys in, and go against what's the weakness of the Colts defense?
Secondary.
The secondary. So give these wide receivers a chance to go down there and make an extra move.
You know, part of being a coach in the National Football League is making sure you take your quarterback and making him feel comfortable. And I think right now, Adam Gase has to look back and peel back and maybe keep this thing simple. Shorten the game. I know you don't have Le'Veon Bell, but you got Frank Gore. Utilize the tight ends you got. You don't have receivers. You know, that's the one thing to me is being resourceful, being flexible. That is something right now because Adam Gase, his leash is going to get short. You got to start winning football games at some point, or you'll start losing your team. For Justin Herbert, keep it simple for him. I'm telling you, he's going to be nervous. He had time to think about it last week. He's had all week to think about it.
Great point.
This time.
Let me ask you a question. This week, Jet players came out and they said that they didn't practice well, and they haven't practiced well. If one of your players said that publicly, how would you handle that?
It's a poor reflection of how we're running our organization. I mean, I think, number one, Greg Williams came out to defend himself, and some other players may have, but that's what happens when you start to lose. Losing culture, start to find excuses instead of finding solutions.
Yeah, you're right about that. But when it comes to this matchup, you have Phillip Rivers, who's not a threat to run at this age. So if you're dialing up a game plan defensively, what should you do? I say bring the heat.
Blitz,
Blitz them. What are you holding back for at this point in your season? Adam Gase, we know the seat is hot. He's aware of what's going on. I live in Jersey now. I hear it just about every day when I talk to a Jets fan. So if you want to go out there, go out your way.
What is the strength of your team? What is the identity of the Jets team? You have to play what's your defense? And how do you keep your defense fresh? You run the football. You sit there and minimize the chances going down the field. Yes, we may have to crawl before we walk, but that's what you have to do right now and peeling this thing back and find a way to win a game.
That's when you go into his coaching books. By the way, his coaching colleague in Kansas City, Tony Dungy, said the attitude needs to be no excuses, no explanations. By the way, I like the group here. We love you, Phil. I was looking to Nate to make a comment. Nate was just shaking his head, and I looked at him. He says, "Go over the bill." Go over the bill.
Hey, guess what? 1, 2, 3.
Here we go. We'll see you back at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on
I'll tell you what I really think to you guys.